All right, y'all. We give praise, esteem, and honor to Abba and Shamaim in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach this day. We're going to pick this up in John chapter 5, verse 39. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and they are they which testify of me, and you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Elohim in you. I come by Abba's name, and you receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one from another, and not the honor that comes from Elohim only? Do not think that I will accuse you to Abba. There's one that accused you, even Moses, in whom you trust. Had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how should you believe my words? All esteem and praise to Abba and Shamaim in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach this day. Let's go to Acts chapter 4. Verse 32. And a multitude of them that believed were of one heart and of one soul. Neither said any of them that all of the things which he possessed was his own, but they had all things common. And with great power gave the apostles witness of the resurrection of the Lord Yahushua, Shalom, Mika, and great grace, peace, Omar, was upon them all. Neither was there any of them that lacked, for as many were possessors of land or houses, sold them and brought the prices, of those things that were sold and laid them down to the apostles' feet, and distribution was made unto every man according as he had need. So, one heart, one soul. Let me see something in Chronicles real fast. If not, go to Galatians chapter 3, about verse 22 for the moment. Before we do that, come over here to Second Chronicles 30 and 8. You can make it 6. So the post went with the letters from the king and the princes throughout all Yasharal and Yehuda, according to the commandment of the king, saying, you sons of Yasharal, turn again unto Yahuwah Elohim, Abraham, Isaac, and Yasharal, and he will return to the remnant of you that are escaped out of the hand of the kings of Assyria. Be not like your brethren, which trespass against you, who Elohim of their fathers, therefore gave them up to desolation, as you see. Now be you not stiff-necked as your fathers. Yield yourselves unto Yahuwah. Enter into his sanctuary, which he hath sanctified forever, and serve Yahuwah your Elohim, that the fierceness of his wrath may turn away from you. For if you turn again unto Yahuwah and unto Yahuwah your brethren and your sons shall find compassion before them that lead them captive. So they shall come again into this land, for Yahuwah your Elohim gracious and merciful, and will not turn away his face from you if you return unto him. Shalom, Sister Regina. So the post passed from city to city through the country of Ephraim and Manasseh unto Zebulun, but they laughed them to scorn and mocked them. Nevertheless, diverse of Asher, Manasseh, and Zebulun humbled themselves and came to Jerusalem. Also in Yehuda, the hand of Elohim was to give them one heart to do the commandment of the Malach and of the princes by the word of Yahuwah. Now here's the deal, because that's what we're dealing with. He said, man, the hand of Elohim was given to them that they may have one heart. You know, hand is Yod. Yod and Dalet. So check this out. Hey, be quiet, Dwayne. Hey, be quiet, Joanne. Sit down somewhere. So Yod and Dalet, what would you say with that? When you look at Yod and you can see the power, the virility, or the right hand of Elohim, or being nailed to the door, you can see how that hand or him who is nailed is what gives them to one heart. And I mention that for this reason. Come to Galatians 3. Because we're going to go back and look at something in Exodus. Hey, come here, boy, because y'all playing. Cut it out. Galatians chapter 3, I think I said verse 22. I'll make it 19 just because. Galatians 3 and 19. Wherefore, then served the law. It was added because of transgressions. Of course, we know that because of Adam's transgression. To the seed should come to whom the promise was made. And it was ordained by Malachim in the hand of a mediator. So pause. Come to Acts 7. Because Acts 7 got something that I want to take where I'm going to go back to. I didn't know how I was going to work it in, but praise be to Yahuwah. He worked it in early. Because I thought I was just going to have to lead with it and frame stuff around that. Where's it at? Where's it at? Dang, I don't see a verse like that. There it is. Coming to Acts chapter 7, verse 32. I'm the Elohim of your Abbas, the Elohim of Abraham, the Elohim of Isaac, the Elohim of Jacob. Then Moses trembled and durst not behold. Then said the Lord to him, put off your shoes from your feet, for the place where you stand is Kadosh ground. I have seen the affliction of my people, which is in Mizraim. I have heard their groaning and come down to deliver them. And now come, I will send you into Mizraim. This Moses whom they refused, saying, who made you a ruler and a judge? The same did Elohim send, a ruler and a deliverer, by the hand of a Malachim, which appeared to him in the bush. He brought them out after he had showed them wonders and signs in Mizraim and in the Red Sea, and in the wilderness 40 years. This is that Moses was said unto the sons of Yasharal, a prophet shall Yahuwah your Elohim raise up unto you of your brethren, like unto me him shall you hear. This is he that was in the church in the wilderness with the Malachim, which spake to him in the Mount Sinai with our fathers, who received the lively oracles given unto us, to whom our fathers would not obey, but thrust him from them, and in their hearts turned back again to Mizraim. Now listen, he said, this is he that was in the church in the wilderness. Now, I'm going to give you this Greek word for church, which is ecclesia. And we'll line that up with kahal, which is the Hebrew word for congregation most of the time. Because this is going back to the one heart and the one way. Now, ecclesia, a gathering of citizens called out from their homes into some public place, an assembly of the people convened at the public place of the council for the purpose of deliberating, the assembly of the Israelites, any gathering of throng of men assembled by chance tumultuously. In a Christian sense, an assembly of Christians gather for worship in a religious meeting. A company of Christians are those who, hoping for eternal salvation through Yahushua HaMashiach, observe their own religious rites, hold their own religious meetings, manage their own affairs according to the regulations prescribed for the body for order's sake. Those anywhere in a city, village constitute such a company and are united into one body, the whole body of Christians scattered throughout the whole earth. The assembly of faithful Christians already dead and received into heaven, a derivative of, a calling out, a popular meeting, especially a religious congregation, a Jewish synagogue, a Christian community of members on earth, saints in heaven, or both, assembly or church. Now, in this instance, of course, definition-wise, this is dealing with Israelites. But of course, it's the calling out. And that's the part that I want you to focus on, the calling out. Okay. So you take that into account, that the ecclesia is a calling out. I want you to file that in your mind. We're going to come back to Galatians. Galatians 3 and 19 again. Wherefore then served the law. It was added because of transgressions. To the seed should come to whom the promise was made, and it was ordained by Malachim in the hand of a mediator. Shalom, Jack. Now, a mediator is not of one, but Elohim is one. The law then against the promises of Elohim forbid. For if there had been a law given which should have given life, truly righteousness should have been in by the law. But the scripture hath concluded, all under sin, that the promise by faith of Yahushua HaMashiach might be given to them that believe. But before faith was come, we were kept under the law, shut up unto the faith which should afterwards be revealed. Wherefore the law was our schoolmaster to bring us unto Hamashiach, that we might be justified by faith. But after that faith is come, we are no longer under a schoolmaster. Let me share with y'all what schoolmaster. Some people tell you this means animal sacrifice, which is the dumbest thing you could ever heard, because this ain't talking about no animal sacrifice, nor is it even insinuating animal sacrifice. And that's unfortunate that people be telling people that. Now, this is just for y'all sake, for informational purposes. This is pahadagagos, a tutor, a guardian, a guide of boys. This says, among the Greeks and the Romans, the name was applied to trustworthy slaves who were charged with the duty of supervising the life and morals of boys belonging to the better class. These boys were not allowed so much as to step out of the house without them before arriving at the age of manhood. Excuse me. A reduplicated form, a boy leader, a servant whose office it was to take the children to school. By implication, a tutor, an instructor, a schoolmaster. So when you take this into account, especially when you got where Paul makes mention that when I was a boy, as a child, I thought as a child, but when I became a man, I put away childish things. When you hear that this is a tutor to take one from boyhood to manhood, what passages would you use for this justification? When it tells you that before faith came, you were kept under the law, shut up unto faith. You should remember what that means from your law. We'll see if anybody recalls. Which should afterwards be revealed. Wherefore the law was our schoolmaster to bring you to a Mashiach, that you might be made righteous by faith. But after that faith has come, you are no longer under that schoolmaster. How are we going to answer that? Let me see. Somebody talk to me. Yeah. You got two things. One, you should remember. And if you don't, that's fine. But let me help you out for time's sake, because we're already behind, which is my fault. First things first. But before faith came, you were kept under the law. Say also lines up with Matthew saying Christ, he was coming to fulfill the book. I mean, that's fair. Indeed, Genesis 3:24 is what you need for the first part. Because eating from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, the tree of life, which represents faith, as you know from Jeremiah 17:7, that was kept from you, and you were kept under the law until faith was revealed. So if that's the case, if you have the tree of knowledge of good and evil, which represents the law, wherefore the law is your schoolmaster. So as it mentioned, because we actually answered that question because we started every week. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and they are they which testify of me. Lo, I come in the volume of the book. It is written of me. Therefore, that is what, before the law come, you're a young man. You're a babe. That's why I say that you go drink the sincere milk of the word as babes, but when you become eating meat, you be a full age, because you can discern between good and evil. So once that the Hamashiach of faith has been revealed, you're no longer a boy. You're no longer a tutor. You no longer need a tutor. You're a full age. That's why I say, and the Ruach will bring to remembrance everything that I said unto you. Therefore, you can be made righteous by faith, or as it says in Isaiah 53, the knowledge of my righteous servant will justify many. This is verse 25 of Galatians 3. But after that faith has come, we are no longer under a schoolmaster. For you are all of the sons of Elohim by faith in Yahushua HaMashiach. For as many as you have been immersed into a Mashiach have put on Hamashiach. And there's neither Yahudim nor Greek, there's neither bond nor free, there's neither male nor female, for you all are one, and Mashiach Yahusha. And if you be Hamashiach, then you are Abraham's seed, heirs according to the promise. Now, for verses 25, 26, 7, 8, and 9, where can you find that in your law? Yes, how might I help you? Huh? You need a diaper? You stink, boy.
Baba, make it this thing. I see his dick in the dick were in the wind.
You boo-boo?
No. Look, pee.
Look at me. You boo-boo?
You're being pee.
You boo-boo.
Let me pee.
You boo-boo.
Let me pee.
You pee?
Let me pee. He did.
Okay. Okay, Joanne, you see him doing something, right?
Joanne.
Leave him alone. Go sit down. Now, verses 26, 7, 8, and 9. You say Genesis 27? Not in this instance. Not with Esau. Not in this instance with Esau. Esau ain't what we angling for. I'm gonna be honest with you. The passages you're gonna need to justify this here, what we angling for, is why we read Acts 7. So that's gonna let you know the time period or general vicinity of what we need. From verses 26, for all other children of God by faith in Mashiach Yahusha. Many have been immersed in the Mashiach, have put him on. Ain't no neither Jew nor Greek. Ain't no bond, no free. Ain't no male or female. Everybody wanted a Mashiach. And if you be Hamashiach, you Abraham's seed and heirs according to the promise. And these things are in the law. Every line, every verse that we just looked at. And it ain't just one verse. It's about 3, 4. You're probably going to need a different one. Going to need a different one for 26 and a different one for 27. A different one from 28. A different one for 29. And maybe not necessarily in the same book. But I tell you, it's going to be in the law, though. You ain't going to have to get out the law to do it. Yes, that's one of them.
Papa,
you got to give me a moment, son. I can't get to that at this particular juncture in time. Let's come over here to Exodus chapter 2. Let's come over here to verse 21.
Ooh, wow.
Hey, don't come over here with that noise, Joanne. Don't do that. And you know what you're doing and why you're doing it. Go sit down, please. You can either sit down in here or you need to go sit down back there. But you're not going to come over here making all that noise. This is Exodus 2 and 21. And Moses was content to dwell with the man, and he gave Moses Zipporah, his daughter. She bare him a son and called his name Gershom, for he said, I've been a stranger in a strange land. It came to pass in the process of time that the Malach of Mizraim died, and the sons of Yasharal sighed by the reason of the bondage. They cried, and their cry came up unto Elohim by reason of the bondage. Elohim heard their groaning, and Elohim remembered his covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and with Jacob. And Elohim looked upon the sons of Yasharal, and Elohim had respect unto them. Just so you can remember, he was looking at how everyone in Abraham's house benefited to him. Now, yeah, you're going too far back, because we don't need to go that far back. That's why I mentioned Acts 7, because we're really lining up with them coming out of Egypt and what that looked like. As forth as being of one heart and one soul of the multitude of them that believe. So,
Mama, that flower.
That is the flower. I'm going to just read Romans 8 with them crying out of bondage just on general principle because it came to mind. We need to talk about it in a while. Maybe if somebody ain't heard it before. Come to the epistle of Romans 8, verse 18. Of course, you know, they were suffering by reason of oppression in Egypt. Many suffered by reason of oppression of sin and of the adversary, so on and so forth. This is the epistle to the Romans chapter 8 and verse 18. For I reckon that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the esteem which shall be revealed in us. For the earnest expectation of the creature wait for the manifestation of the sons of Elohim. For the creature was not made subject to vanity. For the creature was made subject to vanity. Yasharal was made subject to the vanity of the Egyptians by reason of Joseph being sold into slavery. Therefore, being in Egypt, not willingly, but by reason of him who has subjected the same in hope. Because the creature itself also shall be delivered from the bondage of corruption and to the esteemed liberty of the sons of Elohim. See, pause. Exodus 15. So you can see the foreshadowing of becoming the esteemed sons of Elohim and how that happened as a foreshadowing of what went down on the back end. This is the Exodus chapter 15. Exodus chapter 15. Verse 16, I suppose, and get straight to the point. Don't even wait no time. Fear and dread shall fall upon them by the greatness of your arm. They shall be still as stone till your people pass over, O Yahuwah, till your people pass over which you have purchased. You shall bring them in and plant them in the mountain of your inheritance, in the place, O Yahuwah, which you have made for you to dwell in, the sanctuary, O Lord, which your hands have established. Let's take a look at a couple of words real fast. Also keep in mind with the calling out. Stop. Get out of stuff. Take it out your mouth. And it's a verse in Leviticus, that I'm going to lead to. And that's why we were referring to Exodus, because I forgot to reference that point with the ecclesia. The calling out. They were called out of Egypt. You understand? And that's the key component of why when we were looking at Galatians 3, which if I would have mentioned that probably would have been easier to ascertain. So that's my fault. Of what we're talking about, because they were called out. He called his son out of Egypt, if you would. Stop. I just want to give you the word purchased, which is kana, a word that we're familiar with. Kuf, noon, and hey. To get, to acquire, to create, to buy, to possess. Of God, originating, creating, redeeming his people. Now, this is the instance of being redeemed. Of course, you know from 1 Corinthians 6, you were bought with a price. So he's mentioning your people whom you have purchased. So now here is the question. How did he purchase them? How did he purchase the people out of Egypt? What was the price that was paid? What was the price that was paid to buy them out of Egypt? Then some of these elements about them that believe, we already touched on it to make it easier. And we won't have to, yes, the firstborn Egyptian sons, the bloods of the firstborn of the Egyptians. That's how he bought them. They were bought with blood, just like you were bought with blood of the firstborn of the son of Elohim. You understand? See, it's been a long time since we focused on that. People don't like to deal with that, but it wasn't, Shalom, Brother Robert, it wasn't the lamb per se that paid that price. The ransom of a man's life is as rich as the price of a life. It was the price of a life that got them up out of that. If a person, let me finish Romans 8. We can read it right out of Exodus. This is Romans 8 and 21. Because the creature itself also shall be delivered from the bondage of corruption into the esteemed liberty of the sons of Elohim. For we know that the whole creation groan and travail in pain together until now, which we seen in Exodus 2. And not only they, but ourselves also, which have the first fruits of the Ruach, even we ourselves grown within ourselves, waiting for the adoption, to wit, the redemption of our body. Now, they weren't waiting for the redemption of the body. Yes, they were redeemed without money in Egypt. They didn't pay anything. They were waiting to be adopted to become the sons of Elohim. but they didn't get the redemption of their body because that wasn't to come. But the forerunner, the similitude, the shadow is there of what's coming later. For we are saved by hope, but hope that is seen is not hope. For what a man see, why do he yet hope for? But if we hope for that which we see not, then we do with patience wait for it. That's what the purpose of Moses showing the signs and the words that they would preach to them, that they would wait for it. That they would wait for it. You did. So check it. Yeah, the firstborn had to go. Indeed, the law. And this is how the law is your schoolmaster or your tutor to what a knowledge of my righteous servant will justify you or make you zadok or make you righteous. It was something else I mentioned. I can't remember what it was. No, we're talking about the firstborn of the sons of Egypt. Oh, that's what it was. Come to Exodus 12. That's what it was. To show you the price of a life. They're talking about, they're just not putting the Egyptians. But that's what they had to put, the blood of the lamb on the doorpost for them to pass over. But it was the price of the Egyptian's life, son's life, which was paid. This is Exodus 12 and 12. For I will pass through the land of Mizraim this night, and will smite all the firstborn in the land of Mizraim, both man and beast. Against all the gods of Egypt will I execute judgment. I am Yahuwah, and the blood shall be to you for a token upon the houses where you are. When I see the blood, I will pass over you, and the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you when I smite the land of Mizraim. And this day shall be unto you for a memorial, and you shall keep it for a feast to you throughout your generations. Are you what? You shall keep it a feast by ordinance forever. Now let's look at what happens later. Exodus chapter 12, verse 29. And it came to pass that at midnight Yahuwah smote all the firstborn in the land of Mizraim, for the firstborn of Pharaoh that sat on his throne, unto the firstborn of the captive that was in the dungeon, and all the firstborn of cattle. And Pharaoh rose up in the night, he and all his servants and all the Egyptians that were, and there was a great cry in Mizraim, for there was not a house where there was not one dead. And he called for Moses and Aaron by night and said, rise up and get you forth from among my people, both you and the sons of Yasharal. Go and serve Yahuwah as you have said. Also take your flocks and your herds as you have said, and be gone and bless me. And the Egyptians were urgent upon the people that they might send them out of the land in haste, for they say, we be all dead men. The people took their dough before it was leavened, their kneading troughs being bound up in their clothes upon their shoulders. The sons of Yasharal did according to the word of Moses, and they borrowed of the Egyptians jewels of silver, jewels of gold, and raiment. And Yahuwah gave the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians, so that they lent unto them such things as they were required, and they spoiled the Egyptians. And the sons of Yasharal journeyed from Ramsey to Succoth, about 600,000 on foot, that were men besides children. Listen, this is the other part that come in. So we knocking at two birds out with one stone. 600,000 men besides children. Remember, we read, he said, there's neither bond nor free, Yahudim nor Greek, man or woman. They're all one coming up out of there. And they all came up out of there by faith. Let me read that there so that can be made plain. This is Exodus chapter 12, verse 5. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. You shall take it out from the sheep or from the goats. You shall keep it up until the 14th day of the same month, and the whole assembly of the congregation of Yasharal shall kill it in the evening. Let me go ahead and give you the words for assembly and congregation, because they will be paramount this week. When you have assembly, again, you have the word that I mentioned earlier, kahal, kuf, hey, lamar, an assembly, a company, a congregation, a convocation, an organized body, a multitude, which is what you're seeing with ecclesia. The only difference is it's called out. It's not referenced there, but we'll look at that called out in action. When you look at congregation, what you have is Adah, Ayin, Dalit, and Hay, a congregation or a gathering, a stated assemblage, a concourse, generally a family or a crowd, an assembly, a company, a congregation, a multitude, all of those things that were contained in ecclesia, which is where you see that with Ecclesiastes. because that's what Ecclesiastes means. It's a calling out, which of course that word ain't even used in the text, but I can give you this definition real quick. So, of course, Ecclesiastes means speaker, teacher, addressing an assembly. Now, of course, Ecclesiastes originates from the Greek word ecclesiastes, or a member of an assembly. So this Greek title was chosen to translate the Hebrew word used in the text for coalesce, which you know that word because we talk about it a lot, because it really should be called coalesce, which means teacher or preacher, but they got Ecclesiastes. That's where that Ecclesiastes 12 and 9 come in at, because the preacher was wise or the coalesce was wise. And see, we're going to get to that because we can incorporate some of the things in Ecclesiastes as it pertains to the calling out. Because you're called out by the teacher, by the preacher. You know what I'm saying? Yasharal was called out of Egypt by Moses. Yasharal is called out from sin and death by Yahusha. That's what every preacher is supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? See, most people shun wanting to be called a preacher because they don't know no better. Let me go ahead to Ecclesiastes 12 and 9 since I'm referencing that. Because they don't want to be called a preacher because they equate it to Sunday preachers and they take it as a negative. But it's not anything negative. And you know, that's unfortunate. We was talking about this the other day, which we've been talking about, and we referenced like last week because we was talking about sister was talking about tithes. You know what I'm saying? Indeed, Omar. Sister was talking about tithes and your first responsibility is for your family. And then I'm like, no, I get what you're saying fundamentally. But I'm like, we say that because we don't, praise be to Yahuwah. We've been able to go through the text and understand what it is, but most people don't. So most people don't know that, unleavened bread, Shavuot, first fruits, Pentecost, tabernacles. That's when you tithe. And no man is supposed to come up empty-handed. And you're not tithing a tenth of your entire income. You're tithing a tenth of your increase. So again, what that would be is, okay, theoretically, to put it in practical terms now. So let's say from the end of tabernacles to the beginning of unleavened bread. Whatever your increase was from the end of tabernacles to the beginning of unleavened bread, that's what you tithe. Whatever your increase was from the end of unleavened bread to Shavuot, to first fruits, to Pentecost, that's what you tithe. Whatever your increase was from the end of Pentecost, first fruits, to tabernacles, that's what you tithe. It's as simple as that. And then I gave the simple explanation of this. If your increase was $1 million, then you would tithe $100,000. If your increase was $100, you would tithe $10. Because everybody increase is not the same. You don't tithe every week. There's no scripture that say you tithe every week. But individuals don't know that. You know what I'm saying? So if people use that to your advantage, that's why I be only like, you supposed to read this stuff and know this stuff for yourself. Yeah, we could go through this text and we can elucidate on all of these things. And praise be to Yahuwah that we have the opportunity to do so. Nevertheless, it's still your responsibility to verify and understand that these things are in the text as we read them. So I'm like, it's a communal type of deal. I said, we got to set, I'm like, man, like I told y'all the other day, it's 1 million people in Jacksonville. If it was 10%, that's 100,000 brews in one city. You mean to tell me with 100,000 people, any of us should be lacking and we all tapped in with each other? That's not what this man designed. I'm not saying this for the aspect of, we out to get some money, this, that, there, and the third. You got to think more godly than that and stop being a simpleton. Stop being selfish, truth be told. You know what I'm saying? You think about that. 100,000 people. And you mean to tell me out of 100,000 people, all of us couldn't pull something together to make sure ain't nobody down bad? And this is what he got in the text that he required, that you can read, that you can see. But everybody worried about, nah, I'm going to be over here, and I'm going to be over here, and I don't want to do this here. And you's a goofy. You's a goofy. You know what I'm saying? You is a certified goofball because you're not understanding the framework of what this man has laid out. You know what I'm saying? We don't be understanding that. Since I said that, come to Proverbs. Come to this verse in Proverbs that justify what you read and what you call it. My lamb. And golly, Matthew 25, man. Y'all forgive me, man. My mind be freezing up sometimes, man. Come to Proverbs 14:31. Because I don't think I got that page in my book. I ain't even finna waste time flipping to find out. Now listen what it say. He that oppressed the poor and reproach his maker. He that oppressed the poor, reproach his maker or dishonor his maker. But he that hath honor him hath mercy on the poor. Now listen, he that honor his maker is going to have mercy upon him. Now come to Proverbs 17:5. Now he said, whoso mock the poor reproach his maker again, and he that is glad at calamities shall not be unpunished. And then of course there's another proverb that see, he that give to the poor, give to his maker. I gotta find it because that's the exact one I really want. What can I do for you, sir?
I want to take out to the car.
Okay, I need y'all to sit down because I can't entertain what y'all want to show me at this present time. Huh? I can't help you with that right now. Son, you see I'm doing something. I can't find it. There it is. Proverbs 19:17. That's what I want. No, son, don't do that right there. Yeah, that's it. That's what I want. Proverbs 19:17. Listen what it says. He that hath pity. He said also mocking the poor, talking about, yeah. He that hath pity upon the poor, lend unto Yahuwah. And that which he hath given, will he pay him again. Listen what he said. He that hath pity upon the poor, lend unto Yahuwah. Now, Paul, now come to Matthew 25. And now you get a stronger sense of why he said what he said in Matthew 25, if you're not familiar with these verses that we just read, because it's been a while since we had to go through them, of why this is said in Matthew 25. If you have pity upon the poor, if you lend to the poor, if you reproach the poor, you do that to your maker. That's what Proverbs say. So when you see Yahushua in Matthew 25 say this, Matthew chapter 25, verse 41. Well, hold on. Matthew 25:34. Then shall the Malik say unto them on his right hand, come you Baruch the Ma'aba, inherit the Malkuth prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungered and you gave me meat. I was thirsty and you gave me drink. I was a stranger and you took me in. Naked and you clothed me. I was sick and you visited me. I was in prison and you came unto me. Then shall the righteous answer him, saying, Lord, when saw we you a hungered and fed you, or thirsty and gave you drink? When saw we you a stranger and took you in, or naked and clothed you? That's the same thing that the Shumanite woman did for Elisha. That's the same thing that the Sidonian woman did for Elijah. You know what I'm talking about? It's a multitude of texts for this, but nevertheless. Or when saw we sick or in prison and came unto you? And the Malik shall answer and say unto them, truly I say unto you, for inasmuch as you have done it unto one of these, the least of these, my brethren, you have done it unto me. Then shall he say unto them on the left hand, depart from me, you cursed, into everlasting fire, prepared for the devil and his Malachim. For I was hungered and you gave me no meat. I was thirsty and you gave me no drink. I was a stranger and you took me not in. Naked and you clothed me not. Sick and in prison and you visited me not. Then shall they answer him, saying, Lord, when saw you a hungered or a thirst or a stranger or naked or sick or in prison and did not serve unto you? Then shall he answer them, saying, truly I say unto you, inasmuch as you did it not to one of the least of these, You did it not unto me. And these shall go away into everlasting punishment, but the righteous unto life eternal. And you know why this is the case? Micah 6 and 9. What, Joanne? Yeah, I would need you to sit down because I can't do anything for you right now. Micah 6 and 7. Will Yahuwah be pleased with thousands of rams or with 10,000s of rivers of oil? Shall I give my firstborn for my transgression, the fruit of my body for the sin of my soul? He have showed you, O man, what is good, and what do Yahuwah require of you, but to do righteously and to love mercy and to walk humbly with your Elohim. Simple as that. Simple as that. And notice that what you didn't see the Lord say. He didn't say nothing about your local assembly. Yeah, this is for all. We talking about all people in the faith. Because remember, he said, if you don't do this to the least of these, my brethren, who is my mother, who is my brother, who is my sister, but he that do the will of Elohim. Let's read that for those who may not be aware. That's what it say. Mark 3. So when he's making that reference in Matthew 25, he talking about those who in the word. Now, of course, you could do well to those who are not in the word, but case in point, and I know I've mentioned this a lot recently, and this is not to disparage Mark 3 and 31. This is not to disparage people who are doing for people who are not in the word. But you could do, nevertheless, you could do for somebody who not in the word, but you didn't do that unto the Lord. People tell you did it unto the Lord because they're going to make that passage be referring to any and everybody when it's not. He said, if you did it to these, the least of these, my brethren. That's what he said. So when you read Mark 3 and 31, then came his brethren and his mother standing without, sent unto him, calling him. And the multitude sat about him, and they said unto him, behold, your mother and brethren without seek for you. And he answered them, saying, who is my mother or my brethren? He looked round about on them which sat about him and said, behold, my mother and my brethren. For whosoever shall do the will of Elohim, the same is my brother, my sister, and mother. Now we're going to get to this point because we're dealing with the body. More explicitly, because we read the Acts 7:35 when he said this is the ecclesia in the wilderness, or those who were called out in the wilderness. So this called out body of people are as one because they're one in Yahuwah. You understand? So when you do any type of merciful act, like he read, if I'm sick, you come see me. If I'm hungry, you come feed me. If I'm naked, you come clothe me. If you do that to anybody who is in the word, who do the will of God, you did that to God himself. Because God would be dwelling in them and they would be dwelling in God. So it's as if you went and served God yourself. You know what I'm talking about? But if you do that to somebody who's not in the word, you just did that to a person. When we're talking about on a spiritual tip, you know what I'm saying? Both are good. One is better. One excels, if you would. It's good to show pity to anybody who's poor. It excels if you do it to somebody who in the word. Because then you did it to the Lord. And the point of what we were reading that for is he didn't say nothing about no local assembly. He didn't say nothing about you knowing this person intimately, personally, or anything of the sort. And that would be our problem. See, we only want to be a community on the internet. Now, I don't participate in that Hebrew community type stuff, me personally. I never had that thought process. Like I told you, this young lady I know, she mentioned that she was like, I left the Hebrew community. I was like, you know what I'm saying? Because I used to chop it up with her and some of their people on a call that they used to have. But I'm like, through that call you have, you can get people's individual phone numbers and you can connect in real life. So to me, that ain't no internet stuff because this is not on nobody's Instagram. This ain't on nobody's Facebook. This ain't on nobody's YouTube or Clubhouse or anything of the sort. That's why I've always told you, I don't put my phone number on here just to put it on here. You should be wanting to be like, hey, I can tap in with these people in real life, not just wait for Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. That's crazy. That's absolutely insane. Because what I'm going to do after you tap in with me, I'm going to get you tapped in with everybody else. Because I don't need to be the only linchpin. Everybody should know each other, period. Everybody should be able to intermingle and communicate with each other, period. I've already explained that before. I'm not going to do it again. Y'all already know how I see that. Because that's what the word says to do. We've allowed the internet to be a crutch to where you only want to facilitate relationships and interactions online. Nigga, that's crazy. You use online to facilitate things in the flesh, man. Because we can do more for each other offline than online, and we ain't got to get online and talking about nothing that we doing. Because nobody online needs to know. It's not their business. We could go outside and feed 100 brews and 100 homeless people, and ain't nobody don't need to know that. What do they need to know that for? What's the reason for them to know that? What you need to cut the camera on for? What you need to tell anybody for? Nigga, down bad, you fulfill that need. You want the Lord to fulfill your need. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy. They're going to go to brother of mine to a congregation on. Well, praise you, Lord. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you got to tap in, man. All across, you know what I'm saying? All the way live. Like I told you before, you don't never know when you're going to be in nobody's city. But then on top of that, if everybody's tied in, whether locally, you know what I'm saying, a city away, a state away, whatever the case may be, everybody's tied into where we can be of service to each other as he intended, because we're all interconnected. But back to the original point, and I'm still holding Ecclesiastes 12, and I still got to justify the things that we talk about in Galatians and what we read in Exodus 12 and so on and so forth. Nevertheless, she was like, I stepped away from the Hebrew community. I said, baby, that was just online, baby. You just online. That ain't no community. You know what I'm saying? You're screaming about how you disappoint. You can't be disappointed in people that you don't actually know, people who you don't actually talk to, because y'all have disagreements over an app on your phone. You know what I'm saying? To have a community, y'all can see each other, you can touch each other, you can call each other. Man, I'm down bad. Man, when I say down bad, I ain't even talking about financially. I'm down bad. I need somebody to talk to. I'm going to call brother such and such, man. I'm going to pull up on such and such. Tap in, make sure you're good. You know what I'm saying? Our brother in Detroit got a congregation, man. His people going through it. They people just died. They just buried them. See, for us, we look at it, I don't know them people like that. That's the wrong attitude. That means God couldn't be dwelling in you if that even come to your mind. And we don't see ourselves linked in as a group of people who believe, because we only see ourselves as a group of people who believe with the people who I kick it with. And you don't see the other people outside of who you kick it with. And if you see them, you're judging them based on, well, what if they don't do what I do? And that's immature. You know what I'm saying? And I'm telling you, we don't experience that. Oh, they're not real Jews. They're not real. Man, you don't even know me, cuz. I've never stepped in a room full of anybody who say they in the word and thought to myself, oh, they ain't no believer because they doing this. That don't even run across my mind. Now, where do those type of thoughts come from? I don't know. I have my theories, but I genuinely don't know. Because like I said, I could come up with my rationale or why that type of stuff happened, but it would be speculative. Could it be some weight to those speculations? Possibly. But I won't say that with a definitive state. Now, one point I will say with a definitive state that a lot of that stuff come from is the influence of the individual who is teaching them. Because if they put that us versus them, and if they're not here, or if they're not talking like this, or if they're not doing like this, then they're not in the word. That's where that comes from a lot of people. And then you end up becoming an elitist in the word, which is crazy. You know what I'm talking about? I was talking to a dude Saturday night. He said, man, he asking everybody what they studied. I said, I ain't studied nothing. He said, what you mean you ain't studied nothing? I said, man, we got an actual assembly, brother. We did service. He said, are you a pastor? I say, man, not when I'm off the clock. He was offended at the fact that... What? Go sit down. This man got offended because I told him that a pastor is a job title, bro. And if I'm not on the clock, don't nobody need to be calling me that, man. He like, what you mean? I say, what you mean, what I mean? I'm not a pastor in the gym, bro. I'm not a pastor at the house. I'm not a pastor if I pull up to your house. I'm like, I have a name, bro. They can call me by my name. It's one thing if I'm working and you call me, we in the building, we in the spot, and you call me that. I don't need nobody to be calling me that 24/7, 365, nigga. This is like, well, what's wrong with that? What you mean, what's wrong with that? Why do you feel the need that you want the people who you serve to get in their mind that they need to call you something other than your name when you're not working, and you want that because you want them people to feel inferior to you? You want these people to feel like, I can't serve God without this man. I need to put him on a pedestal. I don't have low self-esteem, sir. I don't need vain esteem, and I don't need no outside validation. This is a job, and that's what's wrong with these homemade niggas, man. Shalom, Brother Ernest. They don't see this as a job that is facilitating a service of God to the people. That's the problem. You niggas think this make you somebody. It make you a servant to God, nigga. That's what it make you. It make you indebted to him. He your inheritor. Go to work, nigga. You say Christ is a man that preached, and he didn't respond when people called him master. Certainly didn't. Certainly didn't need to. You know, like this man really was upset because I'm like, bro, I have a name. My name is not pastor. Pastor is a title. It's a job title. Matter of fact, I can tell you what type of noun it is. And that's what's wrong with a lot of these dudes, man. I couldn't even, you tell me, I respect that. No, you think I'm on something else. I don't need nobody to walk around and call me that, man. I'd have been told you, I don't need nobody. Man, I got a name because my mama gave me a name. I gave that same name to my son. It's a feminine noun. You provide over an assembly. If we're not in the assembly, man, you could call me by my name, cuz. And what you mean? Then he got mad. I'm like, check it, nigga. I say, nigga, I'm old now, so like, nigga, you could call me the big homie, OG, whatever. It don't make no difference, man. Or you could call me by my name, bro. First or last name. Don't make no difference. Or my initials. To be told, I ain't tripping if you call me by my name while I'm working. I ain't tripping on that either. Because the nigga was irritating me with that because that whole situation irritates me. Pastor, 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 preacher, preacher, preacher. You know what I'm saying? It's a subliminal imprinting in your brain of elevating a man above that which is written. And it's unnecessary. You know what I'm saying? That's the same way Paul said, I got buffeted for my faults, lest I looked at myself above that which I was. Dudes want to be seen greater than what they is in the eyes of men so they can rule over them. That's it. And I stand on that. And I challenge any nigga who preaching the word who got a problem about what I said. I say it anywhere to anybody at any time. You's a goofy if you got these people calling you pastor 24/7. You's a goofy. You know what I'm saying? You's a weirdo, nigga. You weird. I don't even want to find out why you weird, nigga. But I'm going to tell you to your face you weird because your goofy behind should have told him, hey, I'm just but a man. You could call me by my name. The same way when the people tried to bow down to Peter, Peter told him, get up, man. I'm just but dust and ashes as you are. I'm a man just like you. What you doing that for? Same way the Malachim told John to get up, man. I'm of your fellow servant and of your brethren, the prophets, man. Worship God, man. Worship God, man. What is you doing all that for? You know what I'm saying? Niggas worship men low key. You know what I'm saying? But that's another conversation for another day. Ecclesiastes 12 and 9. I don't even want to get on that because that junk really do irritate me. Then he went impressing me about being a Christian. I said, I'm not a Christian. I'm a Yahudim. What that mean? I said, this nigga here. So I'm going to ask y'all this question since I said it out loud. If we say we are real Yahudim, we're Yahudim, based off what's written in this book, what are we communicating? Now, I'll tell y'all, unless y'all use what I used, to him to tell him what I am communicating. If I say I am a Yahudim, what are we communicating as it is written in this book? Because we ain't said that in a while. Some of y'all don't know that, but some of them who've been around for a while, we know that. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I've been on that for a long time. When I say a long time, I'm talking about when even before we had a congregation. I got on the word in 2009, and I've been saying we are Yahudim since 2009. And Darius just hit the verse on the head. And if you don't know what that verse is, I'm going to read it to you out loud. It's the epistle to the Romans, chapter 2, verse 28. For he is not a Yahudim, which is one outwardly, neither is that circumcision which is outward in the flesh, but he is a Yahudim, which is one inwardly. And that circumcision is that of the heart, in the Ruach, and not in the letter, whose praise is not of men, but of Elohim. Now, Omar mentioned John 1:47. The other one I told him is Jeremiah 4:4. I hit him with that second, I hit him with that second. That's right. Salvation is of the Yahudim. I told him that too. Salvation of those who are circumcised in the heart. Because I told him if you go read Jeremiah 4:4, he said, circumcise yourself to Yahuwah and take away the foreskin of your heart. I said, don't you know that's what it said? I said, you don't remember when he said Edom, Ammon, and Egypt are uncircumcised in the flesh, and Israel and Judah uncircumcised in the heart? Or what are you talking about? I said, well, if you don't want to hear that, we sons of God, bro. Like, what are we doing? I say he gave us power to become the sons of Elohim, not by blood, not by flesh, not by the will of man, but of God. He said, you don't want to be called a Christian? Then he asked me, well, do you believe? I say, bro, we believe on Yahushua as the scripture has said. The nigga said, I'm confused. I say, what is you confused about? We believe on him from Genesis to Malachi. What you confused about? I can't be no more straightforward. I said, now I feel like you insult my intelligence. I'm beginning to be irritated. Oh, I respect. No, I told this nigga straight and down, right? We don't call ourselves Christians. If you call yourself a Christian, I don't care. If somebody called me a Christian, I ain't gonna be like, I ain't no Christian, because I don't care. But if you ask me what am I, I'm gonna tell you we are Yahudim. That's what I'm gonna tell you. And then I can explain to you further what I mean by that. So he mentioned John 1:47, Yahushua saw Nathanael coming to him saying, behold, an Israelite indeed in whom is no God. Let me read you Jeremiah 4, just in case some of y'all may not know what it say verbatim. A lot of niggas be playing games, man. I don't be with all them games. When I feel like nigga playing games, that don't irritate me. So you read Jeremiah 4:4, circumcise yourself to Yahuwah and take away the foreskins of your heart, you men of Yehuda, inhabitants of Jerusalem. Lest my fury come forth like fire and burn that none can quench it because of the evil of your doings, which it goes into what Jack just mentioned, man. That's why I say salvation is of the Yahudim. Circumcise your heart. That's it. Plain, simple, direct, straight to the point. Ain't nothing else to talk about. I told him, man, hey, man, we circumcise ourselves by putting off the body of sin and putting on the Mashiach. What more do you want, cuz? Because you don't want me to, because you upset because I don't identify as a Christian. I'm not castigating a Christian. I'm not belittling a Christian. I don't refer to that because the text doesn't refer to that, because that's not what the men who profess to believe professed and or taught. I understand that in a modern construct. I understand Christian means follower of Christ. I get that. Fine, cool. They didn't call themselves that. So I'm not on that. I'm going to identify with what the text says to be. Circumcised in the heart. That's it. It's not that difficult. It is what it is. Because if you circumcise in the heart and you are Yahudim, then you the praise of God. Because that's what Judah mean. Praise of God. That's the praise of God for one to be circumcised inwardly. You know what I'm saying? But I'm like, because y'all want to put people in a box because y'all want to argue. I said, I don't want to argue because I don't care. I'd rather intermingle with people in real life. And what they don't know, let me tell you, I know I told y'all this before. We can come back to Ecclesiastes 12:9 right now. With this particular calling out, gathering, convocation, assembly, you know what I'm saying? Congregation, gathering of believers, of people. Most of our backgrounds are not the backgrounds of the majority of people who you'll run across the internet. Some of y'all have been in church, but a lot of y'all were not stomped down hardcore church members. A lot of y'all are not in Israelite spaces, if you would, meaning that you were in Israelite congregations and politicking with, quote unquote, Hebrew Israelites on a regular basis. Most of us are regular people who come from a multitude of environments, from diverse environments, who don't spend your time on the internet conversing about theology, if you would, in an adversarial and confrontational manner. So your desire and objective wholly and solely is to be redeemed, converted, and imbued inwardly with the Ruach HaKodesh unto everlasting life. So the things that pertain to salvation is usually what everyone here is overly and generally concerned with. So I can't put them on you right now. Take them back to your room, please, sir. Take them back. In general, most people who deal with the word, the receiving of the Ruach HaKodesh to the quickening of life, it's not really their general concern. I told you there was a conflict on Clubhouse one day, and a dude asked me, I said, man, I ain't on here to battle nobody about no doctrine. He said, what you on here for? To be entertained? And or there's people who I actually genuinely fool with so we can kick it. But I'm not on here to battle you about none of your doctrines. I don't care what none of you niggas believe. And I don't feel the need, have the want or desire to prove that nothing you niggas saying is wrong. Don't care. Now, obviously, the one thing I told you that being around people who talking about the word can lead to inspiration of things for us to delve into that have nothing to do with what they're arguing about. And that's happened several times. And not just on Clubhouse. That's happened in conversation with Bruce. In real life, when I say in person, on the phone. You know what I'm saying? All type of stuff. But outside of that, I don't care. Don't care. And I know most of y'all don't care. Not in the way that they care. Because they want us to care because they want to fight. We trying to fight for our souls, man. We ain't no trying. We fighting for our soul, man. We ain't got time to fight you about no words, man. Please ask D12 and 9, and we get back to Galatians 3, Exodus 12, so on and so forth. And moreover, because the preacher was wise, he still taught the people knowledge. He gave good heed and sought out and set in order many proverbs. The preacher sought to find out acceptable words. That which was written was upright, even words of truth. The words of the wise are as gold, as nails fastened by the master of assemblies, which are given from one shepherd. So, of course, preacher is Koheleth, Kuf, Hey, Lamad, and Kad, a collector of sentences, a preacher, a public speaker, a speaker in an assembly, a Koheleth, an assembler, a lecturer, preaching, used as a nom de plume, Koheleth, preacher. That's it. That's all it means, man. A collector of sentences and a public speaker. You know what I'm saying? That's why he said he set in order many proverbs. His objective is to do what we're reading at, man. Hey, man, you was under the schoolmaster. Now that the Mashiach been made plain, he that's instructed into the Malkuth for Shamahim, the kingdom of heaven, is like a householder which bring forth out of his treasure vessels new and old, because you've been taught. And you've been taught by the schoolmaster that the knowledge of his righteous servant might make you righteous. Therefore, you can disseminate that righteous information through faith because it's now been revealed, so that individuals can receive it and become into the glorious liberty of the sons and daughters of Elohim. Simple, plain, direct, not difficult to understand, palatable, easily dispensed, to be received by anyone. Exodus chapter 12. Still holding Galatians though. So we read how he would smite the Egyptians, and also the smiting of the Passover lamb. So we think we read where they came out. They had the slide. There's one more verse that I need. Verse 43, Exodus 12. Oh, no, I skipped it. I think I read it, but I didn't stop. Exodus 12 and 37. And the sons of Yasharal journeyed from Ramsey to Succoth, about 600,000 on foot, that were men besides children. And a mixed multitude went up also with them, and flocks and herds and very much cattle. Let's look at mixed multitude. When you look at mixed, you have Arab, Ayin, Rosh, and Ba, woof, a mixed, interwoven, knitted material, mixture, a mixture of people, a mixed company. Also a mixture or a mongrel race, Arabia, mingled people, mixed multitude. And the multitude is going to be Rab, which is great. A great group of mingled people. Let's look at mingled people by definition in English now. Hey, be quiet. When you look at mingled people scripturally, this is a non-Israelite population, refugees or mercenary groups that lived alongside and traveled with the Israelites. These were more than likely Egyptians and foreigners who witnessed the plagues and decided to join the Israelites. I just want you to understand what that is. So when we come back to Galatians 3, but I'm going to read something in Exodus 14. And 13, and after that we go to 1 Corinthians 10. Hold on, I'm just trying to get on around there. This is Exodus 14. And verse 12. We'll make it 10. And Pharaoh drew near. The sons of Yasharal lifted up their eyes, and behold, the Egyptians marched after them. They were sore afraid, and the sons of Yasharal cried out unto Yahuwah. They said unto Moses, because there were no graves in Mizraim, you have taken us away to die in the wilderness. Wherefore have you dealt with us to carry us forth out of Mizraim? Is not this the word that we did tell you in Mizraim, saying, let us alone that we may serve the Egyptians? For it had been better for us to serve the Egyptians, that we should die in the wilderness. Moses said unto the people, fear you not, stand still and see the salvation of Yahuwah, which he will show to you today. For the Egyptians who you seen today, you shall see them again no more forever. Yahuwah shall fight for you, and you shall hold your shalom. Yahuwah said unto Moses, wherefore cry you unto me? Speak unto the children of Yasharal, that they go forward. But lift up you your rod and stretch out your hand over the sea and divide it. And the sons of Yasharal shall go on dry ground through the midst of the sea. And behold, I will harden the hearts of the Egyptians, and they shall follow them, and I will get me honor upon Pharaoh and upon all his hosts and upon his chariots and upon his horsemen. And the Egyptians shall know that I am Yahuwah when I've gotten me honor upon Pharaoh and upon his chariots and upon his horsemen. Now come over here to 1 Corinthians 10 and 1. Then we'll swing right back to Galatians chapter 3. Moreover, brethren, I would not you be ignorant how all our fathers were under the cloud, and all passed through the sea, and all were immersed unto Moses in the cloud and in the sea, and all did eat the same spiritual meat, and did all drink the same spiritual drink, for they drank of that spiritual rock that followed them, and that rock is Hamashiach. Now he said they were all immersed into Moses in the cloud. That's the 600,000 men, not counting children, the women with them, and the mixed multitude. You come back to Galatians. Then I'll read to you why I wanted to reference the ecclesia, the calling out, and we'll see where that happens at. Because literally them coming out of Egypt and the plagues, and Moses showing the signs to the people by way of Aaron, and all these things was for them to be called out. The last thing, of course, was the killing of the firstborn. This all relates to them being called out, calling them out of Egypt, if you would. So case in point, I'll read this Hosea 11. Y'all should know what it say. You know it's referenced in Matthew. This is Hosea 11:1. When Yasharal was a child, then I loved him and called my son out of Mizraim. So let me show you where this refers to. This is Exodus 4. And I'm referencing this because he said he called his son out of Mizraim. So Exodus 4, verse 18. Moses went and returned to Jethro, his father-in-law, and said unto him, let me go, I pray you. Return unto my brethren which are in Mizraim, and see whether they yet be alive. And Jethro said to Moses, go in shalom. Yahuwah said unto Moses in Midian, go return unto Mizraim, for all the men are dead which sought your life. Moses took his wife and his sons and set them upon an ass, and he returned to the land of Mizraim. And Moses took the rod of Elohim in his hand. And Yahuwah said unto Moses, when you go to return into Mizraim, see that you do all those wonders before Pharaoh, which I've put in your hand. But I will harden his heart that he shall not let the people go. And you shall say unto Pharaoh, thus saith Yahuwah Yasharal, saith Yahuwah, Yasharal is my son, even my firstborn. I say unto you, let my son go, that he may serve me. And if you refuse to let him go, behold, I will slay your son, even your firstborn. So this is in the aspect of one, that firstborn son that purchased, like we read in Exodus 15, which is going to show you that on the back end. But most importantly, the process of I'm calling them out from amongst them, or, be you separate. And we'll read that in Leviticus 20 in just a moment. So when we look at what we were talking about in Galatians 3 and 24, that the law was your instructor or your tutor to bring you to a Mashiach, that you might be made righteous by the Amuna, Amath, and Amana Elohim. That after that Amuna, Amath, Elohim has come, you no longer need that tutor. That doesn't mean that the law is done. What the law was for is accomplished its task. Then he tells you, for you are the sons of Elohim by faith in Yahushua HaMashiach. You see in that what we read in Exodus. By faith in Yahuwah, they become the sons of God at this particular juncture. For as many of you have been immersed into a Mashiach, have put on a Mashiach. That's what we read Exodus 14 for. They were baptized into Moses. That's what that was representing. Then there's neither Yahudim nor Greek, neither bond nor free. Shalom, Brother Mom. There's neither male nor female, for they're all one in Yahushua HaMashiach. That's what you were seeing. Mixed multitude, 600,000, not including children. They were all one body when they came from out of there. That's it. They were the house of Yasharal. They were Israel when they came from out of there. There was no separation. One body. It didn't say, oh, the women are this or the women are that. This is what stuff that people come up with on their own. But when we're looking at this as forth as in the law, you see the framework of this conversation in this epistle letter. That's where we can verify and see this happening aforetime. And let me show you this in the Song of Moses, that we were in, even though we read the verse where he say he purchased them. I'm going to read it again. Let's come back to Exodus chapter 15 so you can read that they were one. One, and one. Let me read it from verse 1 on general principle. Then sang Moses to the sons of Yasharal this song unto Yahuwah, and spake, saying, I will sing unto Yahuwah, for he have triumphed gloriously. The horse and his rider have he thrown into the sea. Yahuwah is my strength and song. He has become my salvation. He is my Elohim. I will prepare him a habitation, my Abba's Elohim, and I will exalt him. Verse 6, your right hand, O Yahuwah, is become esteemed in power. Your right hand, O Yahuwah, have dashed in pieces the enemy. Verse 16. Matter of fact, now, verse 11. Who is like unto you, O Yahuwah, among the gods? Who is like you, esteemed in Kadash, fearful in praises, doing wonders? You stretch out your right hand, and the earth swallowed them. You in your mercy have led forth the people which you have redeemed, and you have guided them in your strength unto your Kadash habitation. There goes redeemed again. Verse 16, fear and dread shall fall upon them by the greatness of your arm. They shall be still as stone till you pass over, O Yahuwah, till your people pass over, which you have purchased. You shall bring them in and plant them in the mountain of your inheritance, in the place, O Yahuwah, which you have made for you to dwell in, the sanctuary, O Lord, which your hands have established. For Yahuwah shall reign forever and ever. The people whom you have purchased, you've been bought with a price. So you see all of that. No separation. They're one body coming out of there. Men, women, stranger, don't make no difference. Psalm 74:1. O Elohim, why have you cast us off forever? Why do your anger smoke against the sheep of your pasture? Would you sit down and wait for me to get finished, please? Remember your congregation which you have purchased of old. Yes. I got you, son. Just hold on. Of the rod of your inheritance which you redeemed, this Mount Zion where you dwell. Let's see if Kana is the word for purchase here again. And it is the same word of God redeeming his people. You understand? So when we see this again, back to Galatians 3 and 27. For as many of you have been immersed into a Mashiach, have put on a Mashiach, there's neither bond nor free, male nor female, for all of you are one in Mashiach Yahushua. And if you be Hamashiachs, then you be Abraham's seed according to the promise. And they were able to inherit according to the promise of Abraham by inheriting the land. You know what I'm saying? Now we're just looking at it as the law being a foreshadowing to, come on, man, don't you do that. To what was coming later, which was greater. You understand? But let me read this last thing in Leviticus 20, because I ain't going to hold you just to hold you. There it is. Leviticus chapter 20, verse 26. And you shall be Kadash unto me, for I am Yahuwah, I, Yahuwah, am Kadash, and have severed you from other people that you should be mine. Now, when we look at this word severed, which of course is not going to be identical to being called out, obviously. You have here Badal, Bat, Dalit, Lamad, to divide, to separate, to set apart, to separate, to make a distinction or a difference, to separate oneself, to be excluded, to be set apart. And how does he do this? Come to Matthew. Get out that box, both of you. Get out the box. I don't care. I said get out the box. I didn't ask for any explanations. I didn't ask for any explanations. I didn't ask. Get from over there. Come over here to Matthew 22. And verse 1. Hey, put that stuff back in that box. Yahushua answered and spake unto them again by parables and said, the Malkuth of Shamahim is like unto a certain king, which made a marriage for his son and sent forth his servants and called them that were bidden to the wedding. And they would not come. Again, he sent forth other servants, saying, tell them which are bidden, behold, I've prepared my dinner, my oxen and my fatlings are killed, and things are ready. Come unto the marriage, but they made light of it. And we read that earlier in 2 Chronicles 30. And they went their ways, to one to his farm, the other to his merchandise. And the remnant took his servants and entreated them spitefully and slew them. We didn't read that verse, but it said it in Chronicles. But when the king heard thereof, he was wroth, and he sent forth his armies and destroyed those murderers and burned up their city. Then he said to his servants, the wedding is ready, but they which were bidden were not worthy. Go you therefore into the highways, and as many as you shall find, bid to the marriage. So the servants went out into the highways and gathered together all as many as they found, both bad and good, and the wedding was furnished with guests. And when the king came in to see the guests, he saw there a man which had not on a wedding garment. And he said unto him, friend, how you come here, you hither, not having a wedding garment? And he was speechless. Then said the king to the servants, bind him hand and foot, take him away, cast him into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Many are called, few are chosen. Everyone who called in that assembly, you got to be called out. Now you have to achieve into the high calling of Yahushua HaMashiach. But that's the purpose of the assembly, is being called out of the world, called out of sin, called out from amongst the heathen. However you want to look at it, into Yahuwah. I just wanted to establish that aspect of them being one in the law, being called out of one heart and one way from the jump street. We'll say hallelujah for Yahushua in the word. I appreciate y'all time this evening. I bless y'all the house of Elohim in the name of Yahushua. You know, hey, everything went cool this weekend, man. What's happening with you, Drake? You know what I'm saying? Cookout was great. The performances was great. The people who, you know what I'm saying, even though, you know what I'm saying? Oh, I understand. You know, the people that you know what I'm saying, everybody wasn't able to slide through, but nevertheless, prayerfully, we'll do it again in a couple months. You will brood, Mika, see who's going to slide out again. But y'all willing, you know, we'll do stuff like this repeatedly, because this is not a game. It's for fast what we need to accomplish and kick off. But y'all willing, man, July 19th, we'll have a cookout. I mean, a cookout, but a kickball game. Whether it be fundraising or not, I don't know. I'll get with them on that. Nevertheless, that's what we're going to do on the 19th of July. Just got to figure out what we're going to do with that. But, yeah, y'all willing, man. It'll be more things that down the pipe. Obviously, it's July, so we about 60 days out. Not 60 days out exactly, but almost 60 days. Amen, my man. Almost 60 days out. And Trump is going to be upon us. Because it's July. September be here, y'all willing, before you know it. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, we're going to make some other things happen, man, if the Lord allows. Along this avenue of what we discussing, you know what I'm saying? So, amen, man. So that's what we have. And again, I appreciate y'all. You know, weigh and consider. I bless y'all the house of Elohim in the name of Yahushua. I love y'all, man. Y'all willing to the next time.
And what happened to
Come on.